Accountants are terrible with boundaries. Boundaries? What are those? See? Okay, that was a little joke, but let me explain with a little exercise. If your clients gave you their information for their tax return 2 weeks from the deadline, and they've been doing this for years, why do you still file it on time? Because I'd rather drown myself in work than go to counseling? I asked X why they work with clients that give them their information late. There was one common answer: money.
Show me the money!
That's fair. We need money to function in society, and if the client is willing to pay, you can make some nice dough by charging a premium. That could be a great opportunity if you had nothing else going on, and you had everything you needed to prepare their tax return, and their work papers were organized, and they answered all of your questions quickly. But the odds of all of that actually happening is very little. So in reality, it looks more like you have a bunch of projects that you're trying to finish by the deadline. You don't have everything you need to prepare their tax return. Files that you do have are a bunch of numbers that make no sense, and they take a few days to answer your questions, which makes you constantly spend mental energy by having those projects on the top of your mind because the client is expecting you to get their return done in time. So you're stressed and you can't plan anything because the work may come in. And guess what? Your client probably wouldn't even have minded a late filed tax return, because if they did, they would have given you their information well in advance. I used to be in the charge or rush fee camp and make some extra money, but that extra money is no longer worth the destruction of my quality of life. I'm willing to bet those that said they do it for the money don't really want the money or need the money. It's time we be true to ourselves and admit it. We're weak, and we struggle with saying no. Accountants are not okay, y'all, and it's not our fault. Okay, it's exactly our fault. It's who we are. We struggle with obsessing over tax returns getting filed on time. We care more about our clients' work than our clients. We don't like saying no, so we have to work really hard against our nature.
Why am I like this?
So, why should we have boundaries and not prepare returns for clients that gave us their information late? More work closer to the deadline means you're working later. Working later means less sleep and more stress. Less sleep and more stress means more mistakes. More mistakes means more problems later, which leads us to
more money, more problems.
there's also less opportunity for us to carefully look for ways to add value. When you're just trying to crank out a tax return as fast as possible, you're balancing on the narrow line of doing your due diligence and shooting from the hip so you don't have to follow up with the client. And there's no time to find ways to help your clients. The last week before the deadline is going to be intense because that's when your clients get around to answering all your questions. So you're scrambling, trying to get everything in order. I hope you have a good system to track all of your outstanding open items. Deadline day? Forget about relaxing. You're going to be monitoring your email for e-signatures to come in so you can e-file your tax returns. All right, Logan, how do we fix this? I want to tell you, but that's for another video because I have to go work on some returns. Okay, so it's 2 weeks later, and that video was supposed to be posted 2 weeks ago. While I was editing that video, I got a call from client who has a lot of entity returns that were late and they needed to be done by the 10/15 deadline for his partners to get K1s. He convinced me to stop working on this video and to work on his tax returns instead. I think one of the only reasons why I stopped working was because that he's a friend and I have a heart. Now this video is about boundaries. So while I was making a video about boundaries, I totally disregarded my own boundaries. I'm now completely disqualified for telling you how to set boundaries or why you should set boundaries. So, oh man, we can always get better at making boundaries. We're never going to be perfect with them because there is the human element that we have. And that's okay to not lose. All right, well, back to the video. It's October 5th. Cheers. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and watch all of my other videos so I can get monetized by the end of 2023.